You are listening to Dream and Do, a podcast for big-hearted creatives, empaths, and sensitive souls who are ready to show up wholeheartedly in their businesses and their lives. My name is Nicola Ray Wickham, and I'll be helping you to be seen and heard and build brands that make a real, meaningful contribution to the world. Your whole self is welcome to this table, and you're invited to pull up a chair and join me for confidence pep talks, soulful insights, and practical tips on all things creativity, marketing, truth-telling, and story sharing, and powerful conversations with amazing, wholehearted women who are dreaming and doing in action and disrupting the status quo as they go. This is the stuff you're going to wish you knew years ago, but don't worry, we are doing this in community, you are not alone, and it's not too late. This is our time. Hey loves! This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Root and Rise, which is my membership experience for big-hearted creatives. Root and Rise helps you to authentically grow a powerful, purposeful and profitable brand that makes a real difference in the world, all without you burning out, spending all of your time with your head in your laptop or on your phone, or feeling super icky around everything you're doing with your brand building. Root and Rise is for creative, heart-centered brand owners who want to do things differently. And they're ready to go bigger in every way, ready for more impact, ready for more money, and ready for more growth. So the doors for Root and Rise open on the 23rd of November. The wait list is ready and waiting for you to put your name on it. I'm looking forward to telling you more and more about Root and Rise. And if it feels like the right thing for you, I would love to welcome you into that space. Okay, on with the episode. In this episode of the podcast, I am talking to the delectable Selina Barker. So many of you will know of Selina through Project Love. Selina is also a coach in her own right, and she has a book coming out next year called Burnout. This episode took me by surprise. There are so many different things that Selina and I could talk about, and it was really interesting as we got into more about her book. I had a in-the-moment, on-air realization about the way that I've been working and realised that I'm addicted to my phone. And it was, really interesting to have that insight and that revelation live and on air as I was talking to Selina. And so we recorded this a few weeks ago now, and it's something that I have been sitting with and unravelling ever since. You are going to get so much from this episode. Selina is an absolute fountain of knowledge and wisdom and a beautiful example of somebody who is dreaming and doing. So that's enough from me. On with the episode. As always, I would love to know what you think. Selina!
Nicola!
Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to be talking to you today.
I'm so excited to be talking to you. I dressed up for it and everything.
I know, right? I came cash, luxe cash at best. But you're rocking velvet trousers.
I'm rocking velvet trousers. I was just like, we've got to find the opportunities to get into our special clothes. Mm-hmm. So you were my opportunity.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. How are you?
How am I? I feel like I'm in transition mode, discombobulated, riding the waves, what do they call it? The Corona coaster?
Oh gosh, I've not heard that before.
I think it's the Corona coaster.
I'm so on that.
Riding it also with season change. Summer to autumn for me is always discombobulating. I'm like, oh, okay. And the world is an even more uncertain place than it has known to be. So, all of that going on. But yeah, this is what coaches and guides and entrepreneurs even. This is what we're made for. This is our game, is to dance in the unknown and the uncertainty. Doesn't make it any easier, but it is just to remember this is a dance. You have power over setting your intentions, what you bring to the dance floor. Your velvet pants. So what I'm bringing to the dance floor is velvet trousers.
Always. And we're here for that. What has been your biggest lesson of the year?
Oh my God.
I know,
wow.
I'm going in.
Biggest lesson of the year. Do you know what popped into my head? Is to give up wanting to be right. And I'm thinking specifically in the Black Lives Matter and me as a white woman doing anti-racism work, which I've been doing for a number of years with Nova, because that's been such a huge theme of the year. Giving up the desire to be one of the good ones and being right.
That's
in order to actually partake.
Yeah.
In doing.
I love it because, like, everyone knows that Nova is one of my good friends, and she's featured in nearly all of these podcast episodes, very unknowingly and unbeknownst to her. But she was such a massive part of my journey this year, with me deciding to do her Courageous Courage course.
Yeah.
And I've told this story, I'm sure, on the podcast before, but I was really kind of dilly-dallying around, like feeling like I needed to do the course, but it not feeling like the right time. And I kept vocalizing that to her. And then I listened to your podcast episode when you were on her podcast.
Yeah.
And although our experiences were different, they were actually really similar. And you inspired me so much in hearing your words and your journey and the way that you had just thrown yourself in with such an open heart. I was like, I know, even as a Black woman, I need to delve into this work. And it was a rainy day and I'd taken Marley for one of our many walks to get her to nap. And I stopped in the park, got my phone out and was like, booked it. In the middle of listening to you and Nova talking. It was and that has been such an integral part of my 2020. And that was thanks to you. And I don't think I've told you that.
Well, I have heard that. I heard that
on the podcast, probably.
Yes. But you know how I found Nova was listening to your podcast episode with her.
Years ago.
Yes. And I suddenly remember that the other day and I was like, oh, the links and the layers. So, yeah. So that's how I first came across Nova. And then when she came out with her anti-racism course right at the start, I was like, oh, I've literally been looking for someone. I've been looking for this journey. And, yeah, and it's been the most profound journey on so many levels. Yeah, it's amazing.
What made you, where you say that you were looking for almost like a guide on this journey, what made you want to be looking?
So I had got to a point, I had done some really deep healing work at the Bridge Retreat, and we'd really gone into deep, like, ancestral wounds around being oppressed as a woman and like roaring my anger and rage at it and releasing it and healing it and all that stuff. And but even before that journey, but very much at the end of that journey, I was just like, oh, wow, that was one hell of a healing journey. And then I was like, oh God, there's another one. And this time it's the one where I am part of on the oppressor's side. And I'd just known that there was work that I needed to do around this. Then I came across Layla Saad, and before she'd written her book, and because this was a couple of years ago, and she was saying, find people who are doing anti-racism education where you are from. Like, so you have that, with the context. So when Nova, I had been following her after her episode with you, but she was doing like wellness stuff as the things I was seeing. So I didn't even really know. And then suddenly, boop, here was this course. And I was like, oh, and I think I just signed up like this straight away. I can't even remember. And that's how the journey began. And since then become friends with Nova, and it's been really powerful. Really hard, the hardest journey I've been on, but it's just it's such important, obviously such important work.
Tell us about your work. What do you do?
My work. So for many years now, I'm always amazed at how many years I've been an adult for when I say this. For about 13 years, I have been helping people create careers and lives that they love. I am a life design and career change coach, and I'm now a writer, which is really exciting. I have wanted to write a book since like forever. For 13 years, well over a decade. And I've finally written my first book called Burnout, The Exhausted Person's Guide to Thriving in a Fast-Paced World.
What a title. I haven't heard the title in full. I just heard Burnout.
Yes.
That tagline is fire.
Yay! I came up with that. And I'm not good with titles.
I think you are, Selina. That title is literally going to be people going, that's me. That's me.
I'm so excited about it. And actually, Nova, there's a piece from Nova in there about, handling microaggressions at work. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Selina, I'm so excited about that.
Of course.
Oh my god, that's why I love you. Honestly, it's so funny. And we'll go back to hearing more about what you're doing. But you know that I reached out to you a little while ago because I had a family member who was going through some kind of stuff at work and wanted some coaching around that. And I was really kind of in unpicking it more with her. I was saying to her that you need somebody who understands the nuances of what it's like to be in the workplace as a Black woman. And if you end up working with a coach that doesn't get that, you'll end up educating them, which will just exhaust you further. And so just to even hear that your book is touching on the nuance of that exhaustion...
Yeah.
For a Black or person of colour, that the microaggressions is such a massive part of the exhaustion, whether that is in the workplace or just in kind of daily, everyday life. That literally warms my heart.
I mean, it had to be in there. That was one part. I mean, a lot of stuff gets taken out. They did. I'm not that there was any question of it, but that had to be in there. And I asked Nova to write her advice on it because I barely stepped foot in an office my entire working career, and B, I'm a white woman, so I was just like, this can't come from me. It's so important.
I'm here for nuance when it comes to like personal development space, and it feels like so much there's this lack of nuance because there's lack of consideration of other people's lived experience. And so what you've done just there is say to a whole lot of people, I'm going to talk to you about exhaustion and your burnout, and now I'm going to take it really kind of there on what you might be experiencing. That means so much to put that in print.
As much as I could. And I was always thinking about, it's in like writing a book for for an audience of even things I talk about exercise in there. And I was kind of or even things like, go for a walk around the block. And I was just like, well, not everyone can walk. So it's like, just little stuff like that, take a turn around the block, like just really small. But it's interesting writing a book versus one-to-one coaching, because I'm dealing with the human that I'm sitting in front of. But yeah, anyway, I'm really, really excited for people to read the book. What was so weird was, a bit mad really, was that I wrote a book on burnout, because if I were to write on my main expertise, it's career change and life design. So why was I writing a book on burnout? But it was over a period of years, we were talking about books back and forth. And at first I was going to write a book with Vicky from Project Love. So Vicky is my business wife, and we created Project Love. And so we were going to write a book together. But then she was just like, I'm good. You go ahead. You go write a book. That's, I'm on a different journey at the moment. So yeah, just talking to the publisher, she was just like, I just started talking about like, all my friends are burning out. Like, what is going on? She went, please, can that be the book? It's like, what? She's like, you must deal with people who are burning out all the time with career change coaching. I was like, well, yeah. She's like, we need a book on burnout. And so I was so motivated by, genuinely, at that time, I had all of my friends around me seem to be in some degree of burnout. I was just like, there are brilliant books out there on burnout, but they talk about why we're burning out a lot, but not like, this is literally what we need to do just to break free from the burnout cycle and actually start thriving. And it's getting to the physical, emotional, mental energy, managing that energy and understanding how our bodies work, and that we're not machines. We're not supposed to just go constantly through the day without breaks. The importance of rest, the importance of relaxation, not as nice to haves, but like to charge ourselves up, the importance of moving our bodies. That we think often that, at the end of the day, you're exhausted, I can't do any exercise. I'm too tired. The reason often I was so fatigued most of my adult life was because I wasn't moving my body and I wasn't exercising. And as soon as I really resisted exercise, I was like, my partner would tell me, my mum would tell me, you need to exercise. That's why you're tired all the time. I was like, do you think I have time to exercise? Do I not look exhausted enough and you want me to go for a run, which I do not enjoy anyway? I don't have time to go to a class. I was just like, and that whole kind of, world of moving your body and energizing your body through movement, it changed my life. Writing this book changed my life.
Wow. How long did it take you to write it?
Well, I was going to take some time out and disappear from the world from March 2020. I didn't realize everyone else was going to be locking themselves inside with me. So my beautiful, quiet home was not so quiet anymore. Yeah, so March, April, May. It was supposed to be done in 3 months.
3 months?
It was supposed to be. They were like, could you also do it in 3 months? And I was like, I guess. I don't know how long a book takes. I was like, well, give it my best shot. And then lockdown happened and a huge global pandemic. I finished the first draft the week of George Floyd.
Wow, okay.
So, yeah, that's how I will forever remember. I literally started writing it as we realised our life with lockdown in March. And I finished it as the death of George Floyd.
Oh my goodness.
So however long that is.
Yeah, like
5 months?
It feels like
4 months.
Yeah. Super fast turnaround anyway.
Yeah.
And it's out next year.
It's out in April 2021. I'm really excited. I'm excited to see what it does for people. But I tried it out on people as I was writing it, and it really saw a change in people. But above all in myself. Like I ended it feeling more energized, more calm, more grounded and considering I was writing a book during a global pandemic and the biggest Black Lives Matter uprising.
Wow.
Well, that started as I finished, but yeah.
And it just shows that the world needs it kind of even more than ever.
You know what? It made me realize how much the way our lives are designed, particularly the way our work cultures are set up, the way our working days are designed, the way we view productivity and what productivity looks like is so toxic. It's so wrong. It's so off the mark. The amazing thing that I've found was that what you need in order to thrive are exactly what you need in order to be your most productive and perform at your best. So it's not like, well, okay, I'm going to do this so that I can thrive. It will mean I'm a bit slow on my game. No, if you do everything you need to do in order to thrive, you will be at your most productive and you will perform at your best. Because when you're tired, when you're exhausted, when you're stressed out and you don't stop, take a time out to calm your nervous system down, take an early evening, get into bed, have a hot bath, and instead you keep going, trying to get that deadline, you just keep going, your IQ drops, you make more mistakes, you've got poor judgment. Like it's, which we do kind of know.
But we cognitively know it, but then
But when you're in it, when you're in panic mode, when you're in that panic stress state, well, yeah, you're making poor judgments. And the poor judgments are, I'll just have a coffee at 9 p.m. and crack on. Get this done because I'm a powerhouse.
It's really interesting. I was talking to a friend and her whole office is working from home. And she said what's been interesting is this new dynamic now of we're all working from home. It was an office that hadn't traditionally allowed them to work from home. So everybody's on this kind of almost heightened state of anxiety of proving that they are working, proving that they're being productive, proving that they're on. So she said it means that meetings are going on longer than necessary. You can see people kind of eking them out. You can see when people are making sure that they've logged on at a certain time because you can see when they're on. And there's all these little things that are happening and it's almost like this added pressure, whereas in the office you would stop and go to the water cooler, you would go and make a cup of tea, you would go and sit and chat to your mate for 20 minutes and kind of possibly feel okay about it. But at home, no one's watching, but you feel like everyone's watching.
Yeah.
And that is creating this really interesting and really quite detrimental to people's health.
I mean, I've seen people I've had kind of like meetings with people in different companies and stuff to do with books and Audible and stuff like that. And they literally, because they've got like 3 meetings back to back, and they turn up. One had like a flask. One had done a strategic pee break because you might not be able to pee for 3 hours. One had like a blanket. I was like, so, what? They were like, well, think about it. Like, you've got an hour slot. So people go right up to the hour and then your next one starts. And I was just like, hey, here's an idea. Why don't you start all the meetings at 05?
Yes. Yeah.
Just so, or say, sorry guys, I'll be with you in a couple of minutes. I need to go pee.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you're in person, you would say that, like, hold up, I need a toilet break.
Yeah.
Or I'm just going to make a cup of tea. Does anyone want one? But on the digital space, it'd be like, oh, you'll just be looking at my curtains then.
Yeah, exactly. But this is why I think it's even more important for people to understand how to manage their energy. Yeah. But there's such a complete, I was totally blown away by my study of how to manage your energy. I'd never even thought about it like that before. And the fact that, oh yeah, we do need to charge ourselves up. Like just going to sleep isn't enough. But it's not like plugging your phone in overnight. So you need a lot more
than that. But that's how you see it though, isn't it?
Yes, that's how we see it. Well, I went to sleep. And also, what was that quality of sleep like? Were you tossing and turning, thinking about what you had to do? And I was saying to someone the other day, I was like, you don't want to get home at the end of the day, or close your laptop now at the end of the day and step out of your makeshift office, and essentially it's like having your phone like on that red bar. You don't want to enter into home time like that low. You need to be topping up your energy throughout the day, so you go home and you've still got energy there. And then when you get home, your aim needs to be charging your batteries up, not just crawling your way through dinner time, TV, and then collapse on the bed. That's not how we energize ourselves.
But that's what we've been taught.
This is the whole thing.
That's what we've been taught.
Everything, even like if you think of the image of like, imagine that productive powerhouse woman in the office, like, you know, 2 phones. I don't know who I'm imagining, because like I say, I don't know what it's like in an office. Like literally, I go by 80s films.
Power shoulders
and an enormous mobile phone bigger than a head. I don't know what people do, but like my image of it is that person just non-stop. And it is, and you know, there's good stress to be in that kind of in the zone and in flow, and like, but that manic stress and that the badge of honors that we wear for being busy, that we wear for multitasking. What I hate about that first of all, it's actually impossible, but that it's always considered a woman's power.
I know, right?
Take that away. That is, why have you given that to? Is that our superpower?
Apparently,
it's actually impossible.
Yeah,
like
and the thing is, that men are not good at it. Like they're given a pass. You're not good at it, so don't even attempt it. Yet, women
you focus on one thing at a time. Ladies, you juggle it all because that's your superpower. F off.
Just to make us even more exhausted.
It doesn't. You can multitask with really basic stuff, but not emails and oh my God, and their mobile phones. I discovered I was genuinely addicted to my phone.
Have you watched Social Dilemma?
I haven't.
Oh, Selina, watch it and then message me, because honestly, it's so interesting how, I mean, we all know that the social media platforms are designed to keep us on Instagram, the endless scroll that never ends, and all different kind of tactics. But it really shows how deeply that psychological manipulation has gone to really facilitate our addiction.
When I really kicked my smartphone addiction, and it was because I was writing the book and I was really looking into it, and I was just like, I tick every single one of these. I used to get, I don't know if you ever have this, phantom vibrations where you think, have you ever thought that you got a text message and you thought it vibrated in your pocket or your bag, and you look and you didn't get a message?
Yes.
That is a sign that you are extremely addicted to your phone. It's just like, what, doesn't everyone get that? Well, let me tell you, it's a bad sign.
Oh my God.
Like, and so I was like, I have got to stop this. I need to just get a handle on this. I need to be turning my phone off at certain points in the day. I just need to, and in particular, I can't take it to bed with me, and I can't have it in the morning. And it was the taking it to bed with me, the dopamine hits that I was getting for about 3 days. I kid you not, I was feeling like I'd broken up with someone.
Really?
I had withdrawal. I had genuinely not, I'm not for a second.
You weren't sobbing.
But I'm also not comparing it to actual withdrawal if you're an alcoholic or if you've got a drug addiction. But I genuinely, they said, be warned, and I say this in the book, be warned, you can get withdrawal symptoms. I felt like I'd broken up with someone. I felt like I was genuinely missing something extremely important, that was, because it was giving me dopamine hits. After a few days, all was well, and I got over it. My phone got over me, and now we're friends, and it's
so now you're able to manage. You use your tools presumably to manage.
I have a totally different relationship with my phone, but I was and I noticed my stress, the amount I got stressed, that hyper feeling that I used to be in a lot of the time. I had notifications on my phone popping up,
Oh no, notifications are like the worst things ever.
No one had told me. Everyone else had stopped that like 2 years ago. I had WhatsApp. I had notifications for random stuff I had installed and didn't want anymore. Like just constant. And that having even so people who are addicted, just having your phone turned over, so you think, oh, I'm not looking at it. You still are drawn. It's like someone's going, Nicola,
whispering to you, just check me.
So your IQ drops. So studies have shown that when you're addicted to your phone, you've got it like just on your desk or in your bag, your IQ levels drop because your attention is being so drawn to this thing. You want to know what might be happening on there. I had all of it. You know what happened though? The best thing, I got my memory back. I was constantly walking into rooms and going, why the hell have I walked in here? What did I need? All the time. I just thought it was just old age setting in a little too early. And 2 weeks after I kicked my smartphone habit, my memory came back and I don't do that anymore. I'm not kidding.
My gosh, if I needed, like, you have sold it to me and I feel so seen right now. Literally my family are constantly like, Nicola, my daughter calls me the forgetter sometimes.
Oh my God.
Like sometimes it's mum, sometimes it's just the forgetter. Like, and I thought it's because I'm sleep deprived. It probably is a bit of that because I am sleep deprived.
Sleep deprivation is a very real thing, and it definitely. I mean, I have literally no memory really of anything that happened in the first 2 years of having my son because of that. But
it's not being helped by the phone.
But the phone, and I did not think I had a problem. And don't even get me started on the effect on our children. When you're looking at your phone. There were studies, I will tell you, I will start on it, I'll just tell you this. There were studies that showed that even if you're watching TV with your kids and they're looking at the TV, and you're looking at your phone, right? Because why would I want to watch, I don't know, whatever the hell they're watching. Yeah. But they look over. Yeah. They want to make sure, Mummy or Daddy's, are you watching this with me? And when they look and they see you on your phone, they're like, oh. And so, like, and they feel like they don't matter. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. And I mean, I was like on my phone today. I had my kid at the park, and I was like, yeah, great climbing, yeah. Anyway, So I'm not like some saint now who never. I do have a landline though. I bought myself a landline.
You got a landline,
just in case. Just in case I decide I'm going to digital detox for a day. So my mum can call me.
Can get in touch, yeah.
So no one has to panic. But I will often leave my phone now. Oh, and if I went out to the shops and didn't have my phone, I would walk back to get it. Shops are 5 minutes away. Just getting milk.
Happen, right?
I couldn't be without it. It had a much bigger effect. And the problem is, I was just like, yeah, but everyone uses it like that. Well, okay.
I think in the circles that we run in as well, because we're running online businesses. Yeah. Right? Like that is definitely the excuse that I use for myself. Mm-hmm. And when my family are like, Nicola, your phone, I'm like, yeah, but my phone is like my laptop. So I have my laptop on my lap or I have my phone, but what I'm actually doing here is work. So, I mean, sometimes it's not. Okay, Nicola, let's get all the way real. Sometimes it's not. But sometimes it is. So it's that kind of...
It sounds like some excuses right there.
I know. I did not expect this July.
I didn't know we were going to go down this. I said be open.
I know, right? It's but it's one of the things that is causing us to go into that cycle of burnout and that exhaustion.
Yes, because
it's almost one of those hidden things because we're not thinking that is contributing to our overall well-being.
Because when you see everyone doing it, like, and also you're like, really? Is it that bad? So what if I'm doing a bit of Pinteresting before bed? So what if I'm like getting some things done? So what if I'm like reading some stuff? Or when I did a 1 day, 24-hour digital detox, and I genuinely felt panicked before I was going to not turn that phone on, like actual anxiety. What would I do with my day? I was just like, how am I asking myself this? What do I mean? What am I going to do? I remember just like my son was there eating breakfast. I was just like, oh, normally I would pick up my phone and like scroll. He's like, he gets very absorbed. He doesn't want to chat when he eats his breakfast. So then I just gazed out the window. My mind wandered and I had thoughts and I reflected and I was just like, and this was like hour 2 of being up into the 20, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been missing. This is what I've been missing. You know, when you're using your phone all the time, you don't allow yourself to be bored.
Exactly.
You don't get to hang out with yourself. In those in-between moments of like, because when you sit with the boredom, other stuff comes up.
Absolutely. I always say to my clients that creativity over consumption, and see it as a scale. And so many of us are consuming more than we create.
Yeah.
In the first instance. And secondly, of our day, we're going to consume before we create. So I'm like, create first before you start learning what everybody else thinks and feels and has had for breakfast, lunch and dinner the day before. Like, know what you think. And I love, whenever I've done a digital detox, which is about twice.
Yeah.
In 40 years.
By the way, that was the last digital detox I think I did. It hasn't become a regular occurrence. But I use my phone. I do genuinely use my phone in a totally different way. But yeah, sorry. What were you saying the last time?
That was what I got, was that I was able to hear myself.
Yeah.
And what I find is that often when I'm driving in the car, I won't listen to anything. So no music, no podcast. And I adore that time. And often if there's something going in my head that's bothering me, the solution will come or an idea will come. But it just, this calm, and that is, I'm realising now why I like it so much, is exactly what you're speaking to.
Because when you're engaging your brain in consuming, this is, I think, you're using that left side of your brain, right? That, like the conscious, okay, logical, consuming, whatever it's language. When you're gazing out the window or driving and kind of just gazing at the road in front of you, that's where you're right. So that's why we get all ideas in the car or in the shower, because that's when you're the right side of your brain and your intuition and your higher thinking and all that part of the brain that makes all those crazy connections and that comes up with aha moments. That is not going to happen when you're scrolling Instagram, even if you're a voyeur, even if you're not leaving messages or scrolling and having a look at clothes on online shops or whatever we find to do, reading some news, even if it feels important or inspiring, you're not connecting with your deeper self.
And something that's really coming up for me a lot right now is the notion of power. So there's the traditional ideas of power that lots of, especially women, hear and kind of go, oh, I don't know if I want any part of that. But then there's that kind of owning your own power, which is a really coachy term, but it stands true. And when we are then in that consuming mode, listening and absorbing what everybody else is trying to tell us, and a lot of it is advertising from these kind of big corporate brands, and there's a lot of the patriarchal ideas, there's all of the isms in there, there's all this societal and social conditioning in what we're consuming, which is shaping what we're starting to think and dulling down our own thoughts. And that's something that's really coming up for me even more, is that actually let's get rooted in what we think.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, you need the space. When I was away this weekend, I was really surprised because I love creating content. So I was like, I'll be on Instagram stories. I had no desire at all. I hadn't been on Instagram for a week, which is a bit unheard of for me. And no Instagram stories, like nothing. I was in there, in the moment, in the quiet. It was lovely.
Exactly. Just wanting to be in there. What I have been dedicated to for over a decade is really understanding what it takes to create a life you love, really create a life that is made for you. And in order to do that, you have to collaborate with that deeper part of yourself. You have to start by stepping into stillness. And you have to connect with, that voice of wisdom, that your soul, your heart, like whatever that is for you, that voice, that deeper, that quiet voice. You only hear that deeper voice speak when you switch off from the outer world and you allowed yourself to drop into that stillness. And I'm all about stepping into your power. Like for me, 2 years ago, I said that it was going to be my year of stepping into my power. And it was one of the most powerful years, like it really, but for me, and I remember adding on to it, stepping into my power and stepping more deeply into love, just so people don't think that the power thing is like, yes. But what I realized is I was like, but the power, stepping into your power is stepping deeply into love. That's where the power comes from. It's, and it was me dismantling that patriarchal understanding of power as something wielding control, which almost comes back to the very beginning of one of my biggest lessons this year, was the importance of giving up being right, or being like, I know how things are, or giving up knowing, or whatever it is. That's all part of that outer power and control, and going into the stillness.
Yeah. And it sounds like it's given you an element of freedom and liberation.
I mean, total freedom and liberation. If we're spending our whole time looking on our phones at what the outside world is doing, and like you say, programming and forming conditioning, not just how you think you should be, but how you think your life should be, what goals you think you're supposed to be going after. And because we're taught to go after extrinsic goals of money and possessions and status and all this kind of thing, and because we have this innate thing of to go after and to create, because for me, the magic we have as human beings is our ability to dream and then make those dreams real. No other creature does that, as far as we know. Maybe dolphins, I'm not sure. I feel like maybe dolphins do, I don't know. But as far as we know, but I think so that's so innate in us. But when we're we're thrown these goals, we're like, yes, it's in me to go after these goals. But then you get to them and they're like, I don't feel any, and people would come to me and be like, I did it. I achieved everything I set out to achieve in my 20s. And I'm so miserable. I've got the possessions, I've got the role, I've got the status, I've got the dream job. And I'm so unhappy. It's like, yeah, babe, because you were chasing after the wrong things, which is so unfair because you were led to believe that was what would give you that happiness you're after. And it's a big, fat lie. But what it does show is how good you are at setting your sights on a goal and making it happen. So let's now new coordinates into the GPS that come from that deeper place, from yourself, your intrinsic, your dreams, your intrinsic goals, your dreams, and like what you really long to do, and what your soul is calling you forward to do. And then let's go after those.
Love, love, love.
Which takes courage and wholeheartedness.
It does, because you're it's the path less trodden, isn't it? It's not doing what it's probably not doing what those around you. It's when you announce to your table of friends or family your plans and there's like tumbleweed.
Yeah.
Or the looks of concern.
Yeah. Really? Are you sure? But why would you want to leave a job like that to go and do what again?
Yeah. I don't even understand what it is.
I don't really understand. Yeah, exactly. And that you want to look around and get reassurance when you're making a kind of terrifying leap into just following your own heart and living life by your own rules. But at first, when you look around, you may not get that. Like I often say, it's often your closest family and friends are not the ones that you're going to get the cheerleading from. No. It can be, and it's wonderful when it is, but it's really important to find people. Always look to the source. If people are saying, oh, are you sure? I don't think that's a good idea. Are they living a life that they love? Are they really living from their heart, like playing by their own rules, really being true to themselves?
Yeah.
Because if they're not, if they don't actually seem that happy, then probably not the ones to listen to on this occasion.
No. So your Audible original, tell me about that.
So I did oh God, it was a few years ago that they kind of came to me and said, we're interested in you doing a series where we record you coaching 6 people. So you hear me coach people, which obviously I've never had recorded other than to on a Zoom, and the person who I'm coaching gets it. So they recorded me coaching 6 people. Each person had an hour and a half at the start and an hour and a half, like roughly 6 weeks later. And in the middle, I came up with something for them to go and try. So, or someone for them to go and talk to. So one person went and spoke to, this is a recruitment consultant, about changing, like shifting jobs. Hers was a bit of a smaller move. Another one, the Burnout sort of A&E doctor, pediatrician, who I said, I was just like, I really want to, she loves nature so much. I really want to send her like tree bathing. Like the production team were like, okay. And then when they said to her, we're sending you tree bathing, she went, no, you're kidding. She went, the day of our first session, I was in the bookshop and I took out a book and I went, tree bathing? What is this? And I bought the book. She had it on her bed when they called her and they were like, you're going tree bathing. She's like, this is so weird.
No way.
It was amazing. It was amazing. They were all so different. I mean, it was nerve-wracking, but also knowing that they were like, don't worry, we need you to say a lot of fluff that gets cut because we're putting it into a half hour.
Right.
So I was like, okay, fine. But even having people observing me while I was coaching, but it was beautiful. And it's good. It's been good listening. I haven't listened to them recently, actually. But when I first listened through to them, I was like, oh, and also on top, so you hear me kind of coaching them and then they'll cut away and I'll be talking more universally about career change. I'll be like, you see here how Harry is feeling really like defeated and like this, or he's feeling like, there's no point. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about the shitty committee. I talk about the shitty committee and I was like, the shitty committee is your inner critic that's always there telling you why you can't do it. Da, 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 da. And so I talk about that on top. And then now let's see how Harry was doing after he went and, did this.
What a great creative idea, like the way it's directed and put together. It sounds such a great idea, especially for people as well who haven't experienced coaching and don't know what it is or how it works. To get that insight is just, because coaching is wonderful.
I've had people getting in touch. It's a bit weird because it kind of came out. So it was supposed to come out in April and it came out just now in September. And so everyone was like sending me messages. And then over the last 2 weeks, just everyone's just sort of frozen again. And I feel that everyone just went, I just feel like everyone's just frozen. So almost like I kind of forgot about it a bit. So I'm going to get back into it and start celebrating it again. But yeah, people were getting in touch going, this was so good. I was listening to this one and it gave me an idea for my business and I'm going to go out and do it. And it's motivated me. And that was really what I wanted, for it to really encourage people. Look at these different people. There's a midwife, there's a student that had just recently left university. There's a whole range of people with totally different kind of circumstances. And so, I really hope it will give people inspiration that really anyone can and deserves to have work that they enjoy. It doesn't have to be your passion, but like if you're miserable in your career or in your job, that's a third of our adult lives are spent working. So if you're doing something that is making you miserable, do everything you can to change that, and you can change that.
And I think it's so powerful for people just to know that. Because I know that when I started my corporate career and I was kind of deep into it, I didn't know that. And I also almost didn't expect to love my work because no one around me loved their work.
This is it. But this is, again, this is the narrative. I mean, I remember that. I remember people being like, Selina, yeah, sure. Everyone wants to do something they really love, but like, you know, but we don't. So that's why it's called work, and you get to the weekend and that's where you have fun. And like, kind of like, we're all in this together. So, you know, stop with this idealistic ideas of really loving what you do. And I was like, no, I'm not. I hated school, and I promised myself after I finished my education I'd be free, and this does not feel free to me. So no, I am going to find another way. And I promise you, this is what I said. This is like 6 months into my first and almost last office job in marketing. And I was just like, I know that there's people out there who love what they do and who have freedom to work in the way they want to, when they want, where they want. They're their own boss. I don't know any of those people. I know not one. These are not people I'm friends with. My family aren't those people. I don't know anyone, but I know they're out there. I'm going to find them, and I'm going to learn from them how they've done it. So I'm going to do it for myself too. And then, and I remember telling this guy, I'm going to come back and I'm going to help anyone else who wants to do that. I'm going to help them to do it too. Not at any stage thinking that what I was describing was a career change coach. But that's literally, and he said to me, you've got to speak to my brother. He's starting up this online thing for career changes. And about a year later, that was Rich Alderson, I was a co-founder of Career Shifters, which still exists today, which has success stories of people that have changed career. And I think they still do courses. And I started that 13, 14 years ago. And that's how this whole journey began.
You're like an OG in the
I am so
this world, right?
I think I'm like a spring chicken, but I have literally. I mean, I'm just like, I think this is if we are, and I believe we're heading into recession. I'm like, it's fine. This is like my third one in this business through a recession.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, recessions are really good times for entrepreneurs. They are brilliant times for new businesses, for business ideas. Like, I really want to encourage people to not have this. I know it's scary. Don't worry. I'm in on that too. Like, I get it. Things change. Things that you expect were abundant and suddenly they dry up. But if more than anything, it's the mindset of we must all freeze and now just stall and now just go into survival mode. And actually, yes, there may be, in some cases, you need to just sort of hunker down, but it is a wonderful opportunity to start.
That's the thing, it's opportunity, isn't it?
And fertile ground.
Yeah. I definitely felt in the beginning of the pandemic, like there was moments in the beginning, I was like, oh my goodness, everything is coming to an end. I must never spend any more money ever again. I actually had my most abundant time over the last 6 months. But also for me, it's about always meeting people where they are and speaking to the context and the nuance. And I think often people are too scared to do that. But that's where we are able to reimagine what we're offering and the support we're giving, but actually seeing the context of what's happening for people. And that's where the opportunity is. Yeah. And I think there's some like really big, like Silicon Valley companies that were actually born out of recessions.
Oh, definitely.
Right? Maybe one of them, or I can't remember.
But honestly, I remember this from like the first recession. We went whenever it was, that as I was starting out with helping people changing career. And I remember hearing that it's a brilliant time for entrepreneurs. And when I say entrepreneur, I literally mean anyone who goes, hey, I've got a service I want to offer. Who wants it? It's this much.
Yep.
Entrepreneur is a big fancy name for just people out there offering services for money.
Exactly. I still don't quite identify.
I would not call myself an entrepreneur.
I don't really know what I call myself half the time. But
no, nor do I. Exactly. Still struggling with life design and career change coach.
And I cannot let you leave without us talking about the Goodbye Hello Journal, because I love it.
My baby.
I
Oh,
love
our
it. It
baby of
forms
Project Love.
like the ritual of me ending the year and starting another one. How did you come up with that?
So, again, about 13 years ago. Well, it was probably about 11 years ago. I got to the end of the year and I was just like, I really want to actually take stock of this year that I've just lived. I don't want to just go into the next one and like be on to the next plan. And so I think I first called it, what did I call it? Reflect and manifest. I quickly changed that to goodbye, whatever that year was, hello, the following year. And I literally wrote out a Word document with questions on it, not dissimilar to the questions that are in it today. And I did it and I was like, oh, this has been so good. And it's just going through reflecting on your year and then grounding yourself in gratitude, things that you're grateful for. What do you want this next year to be all about? And choosing an intention for the year or a focus for your year. It has since developed. You've spent a bit more time kind of just checking in with yourself again and asking yourself, what makes me happy? What makes me come alive? What environments do I thrive in? And so anyway, I did it. I shared it with a few friends. They were like, this is brilliant. So then after that, even people who, like my brother, who would never go near any kind of self-development tool, he was like, hey, you doing that thing again, the end of New Year thing? And I was like, oh, you liked it? He's like, yeah, all right, let's not make a fuss about it. But yeah, I'd like it again. He still does it every year. Anyway, it was one of those things. I mean, I've created many different things in my time. Like some of them lasted about half a millisecond. But this was one that just kept going. Then we started Project Love. And I was just like, listen, I share this thing as, every year. Maybe we make it a Project Love thing. So we did a little design to it and made it a Project Love PDF. And then I started having this dream that I was like, I want this to be a real hold in your hand journal that you can see year after year on your shelf, and you can after a while take that one down. Oh yeah, what was that year about? And you can see what that year was about, but then you can also see what your dreams were and be like, oh my God, that's so crazy. That's when I first started having that dream. Maybe it didn't happen the following year, but it did happen, and it's like, or just a way of remembering your life from that sort of, your reflections and your dreams. Anyway, we had this idea. I just suddenly wanted to do it. We did a Kickstarter.
Oh, you did a Kickstarter?
We did a Kickstarter. We did it ourselves. We did a Kickstarter, and we hit 150% our target, and we sent it out to like 22 countries around the world, which was hellish for our friend Kate, who was doing the sending out on Christmas, just in your regular post office. Can you imagine the queues? And she gets there, she's like, here's one for Australia.
Yeah.
Here's one for Spain. Everyone behind her giving her daggers because it takes a long process to go each of those. Anyway, then the following year, we're like, right, it was a success. Let's self-publish this. And we got it that year into Oliver Bonus.
Yes, I remember. Yeah, because I've got that one looking at me. Mm-hmm.
We were just like, we self-published this and we got it into Oliver Bonus. That was of all that was like the biggest, because also it was like just showing what anyone can do.
When you bet on yourself.
Yeah. And it's like, just go for it anyway. And just the support around us was amazing. And then the following year, we teamed up with Pavilion, who've now taken it on. And now it goes further and further. And it's doing that ritual I look forward to every year. It's genuinely helped to shape my life. The biggest thing I've used it for is to make sure I don't forget about my well-being. For so many years, as I need to, I'm fine with going after my dreams and making things happen. What I tend to forget about, what I used to forget about, which is why I had to write a book on burnout, because I had gone on that journey. But what I used to forget all the time was to look after me. You can get into the chasing the dreams and living a life you love, but then burning out in the process, and then you don't really enjoy that life you've created.
I love it. That's why people need burnout and
journal,
right? I love the journal for the power of writing, Like the power of writing down what it is that you want, and then the magic of seeing it happen. And what I love about it is that it can be things that I've written down and then kind of forgotten about. So there's not been the momentum around it. It's not been the kind of, I'm focusing on it. It's just been written down, and then I look back and I'm like, it actually happened and I didn't do anything.
Oh my God, Nicola, that is why in this journal, the Goodbye 2020, Hello 2021, we've got a new section, which we're going to share for anyone as they come to the end of this year. But it's a new section at the end where you reflect back on the journal. So obviously at the start of the new journal, you reflect back on the year, but you go back on the journal and you look to see, what did I write there? Because to pick out those bits, exactly like you say, like the bits that you forgot you even wrote, like which of the bits you wrote in your dream life have come true? Because I remember last year looking at, we have an exercise in it, your dream life 5 years from now. And there was stuff that I had written the year before in my dream life exercise where I was like, oh my God, stuff from my 5-year dream life happened this year. I was just like, I had totally forgotten I'd even written that in there. And it's that exactly what you say. And the reason is for people to really recognize and acknowledge the power of writing that stuff down. So that is why we've got that new section.
Ooh, I'm going to love that bit.
I love it. But we will send it, for anyone who's got the journal, the 2019-2020 journal, we'll be sending out a little PDF of that reflection so we can all do it at the end of this year as well. Oh my gosh,
that's going to be, I already know for me that it's going to be the year that 2020 has been. It's something's going to look completely different. Some things would have happened, but just not in the way we would have expected. No. Right?
You will look and you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe I wrote that down.
Yeah, things like I wanted to spend more time with my family.
No, do you know what mine was? Mine was all about creating a home, like focused on home life and creating a home in which we can flourish. Well, I had no option other than to focus 24/7 on that. I was like, oh, well, more than I had actually asked for, but thanks. Exactly. But do you know what so many people wrote? I need a break. I just need things to slow down. And they're like, oh, I feel a bit bad now that
I called this in.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we did. Maybe enough people were desperate for life to slow down.
Yeah, there's a woman that I'm really liking her work at the moment. She's got a book called The Calling, Ra Goddess, and she's called this time a sacred pause.
Oh, I think I heard that through you. Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
You've got to look at the gift in it, because there's so much crappiness in it. You know, the people who've really suffered from it. You've got to also look for the gift in it as well, as in with everything. Yeah. She says, rolling her eyes. There's an opportunity in it all.
Yeah.
Even the life coaches get tired of that one. Where's the lesson?
It has been such a pleasure to talk to you.
It's been so good. I could have gone on forever. I feel like I have gone on forever.
No, you haven't. It's just absolutely spot on and right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will link to all of the stuff that you are doing. I cannot wait to read your book by our little chat about social media and phone.
Oh my God.
I evidently need it. I'll be messaging you after this because I don't think I can wait till 2021.
I will share with you my tips. I will do that. I also hang over at Selina the Coach on Instagram, and maybe I'll do an IGTV on there about some simple ways of using your phone more mindfully than mindlessly.
Yes,
which is what we fall into.
I'll be looking forward to that, and I'll link to that as well.
Thank you for all the work you do, Nicola. Thank you for this podcast. It's the one you did with Nova and Tamu, one of the best things I've heard all year.
It was pretty special, wasn't it?
It was beyond special. So thank you.
Hey love, and thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, you know what I'm going to ask you to do. Please head over to Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review and a rating. It helps this important conversation and message get to more people. And also, please feel free to share it with anyone who you think needs to hear it. I would love to continue the conversation over on Instagram. I'm there at A Life More Inspired. And I will see you on the next episode.